Dow's now down close to 9% from its record high. I said earlier this month, I'm not sure whether that includes today's move or not. That those are the declines just in the last week. The Dow dropping more than 2,000 points in the last three sessions. Let's ask what could be ahead, taking a look at the technical aspects of things with Robert Sluymer. He's managing director at Fundstrat Global Advisors. Short term, you want to look at that first?
Sure. Let's take a look at the daily chart on the S&P. We've done a lot of damage on a lot of charts across the board, but if we take a look at the S&P on a daily basis, so we're coming right into that 200-day moving average, which I think a lot of people are focused on. Let's just call it around 3060 or so, and that's roughly at the upper end of that trading range that we saw back in Q3 and Q4. So in theory, there's a lot of support around
3060.
3060, 3,000.
Okay.
I mean, the rate that we're moving here, I think 60 points isn't all that much, actually. And the other part is that we've actually retraced. If you take from the Q4 lows here, we're right in that 62% retracement level. That tends to be a level that markets bounce from. So we don't see the evidence yet that there's an actual low, but these momentum indicators and a long list of stats that suggest we're deeply oversold from a very short-term standpoint. So a bounce wouldn't be surprising, but if I can go on to the weekly chart, I think this is what's really important. We want to put some perspective on this for clients that aren't just traders, right? The intermediate term background, that tends to track 1 to 2 quarter shifts, still suggests there's more time to play out before we actually get a sustainable bottom in the market.
So as a technician, do you have any trepidation about the notion that a coronavirus just throws everything that we know off kilter, and you can't just use technical analysis when you got something that's such an outlier?
I certainly understand what you're saying, but
or will it really work? It'll still work even though we're talking.
I don't know if this purple line's going to.
You know what I mean, though. I wonder if you can still gauge things technically, ignoring a fundamental like coronavirus.
Well, we have an unknown event that we have no idea nobody seems to really know what's going to go on, so we don't really know.
Right.
But the market is probably our best gauge of what's going to go on.
Okay.
Right. The market actually started to peak when you start looking.
That's interesting. So you can look at the market that could be signaling what happens with coronavirus.
Think so. I mean, look at where yields peaked. They peaked back in January. Right. All the cyclicals began to peak back in January.
We don't have a lot of time. Let's do your bookends. You got tech and energy, right? Are those the two?
Let me just make one other point here. This weekly. It's not. Anyhow, the weekly momentum data tends to track 1 to 2 quarter shifts. It's not going to bottom until we get out well into Q2, and that makes a lot of sense with what we're seeing on a fundamental basis.
Duration-wise. Okay.
Now, let's take a look at energy, right? So a very long-term peak, that relative strength still continues to decay. So if we're going to get a snapback, and this still looks like a big bounce or a big top developing, we could easily get a bounce back, but it doesn't look like a good place to be.
All right, what about tech? Because then we got to go.
All right. So tech, really quickly. Look, that long-term, if we start looking at these long-term trend lines, these big channels, it's still got more room to go as well. Microsoft, Apple, all those names need to spend more time. I'll give you a couple stocks to take a look at. Unfortunately, they're up a little bit, quite a bit today, but if we look at a name like Gilead, great long-term chart starting to develop in here. We want to be buying that on certainly any news, and Regeneron as well.
Regeneron. Okay, the two that play in the coronavirus. All right, great. Robert, thank you.